Hello and welcome to this new episode of Biopilates Deep Dive, Season 2, dedicated to the reformer. Feel free to listen to previous episodes, download them, and share them if you think they could benefit your practice or that of your students. Today, we're diving into a fundamental topic, footwork on the reformer. More precisely, the often overlooked role of the feet, and especially the toes, in lower limb alignment, propulsion, and pelvic stability. When we think about Pilates, especially on the reformer, we often focus on the core, pelvis, shoulders, and hips. But the most decisive point of contact, the one that informs the entire postural chain, is lower down at the feet. Footwork is not just a warm-up. It's a complete, intelligent sequence that mobilizes the architecture of the entire lower limb, from the soles of the feet to the hips. It's a dialogue between the foot, knee, hip, and trunk. And in that dialogue, the quality of the contact point is essential. Each press on the footbar or the cardio tramp activates the plantar receptors. These mechanoreceptors send precise information to the brain via ascending neural pathways. The brain receives a real-time sensory map of the foot, allowing for continuous adjustment of movement, alignment, and balance. That's why footwork is also deep alignment work. A knee that collapses inward or rolls outward, an ankle that gives in, a foot that compensates, these all distort the movement line. The reference point is clear. The knee must remain aligned with the center of the foot, not to the inside, not to the outside. That alignment protects the joint, strengthens the inner thigh muscles, and allows efficient transmission of force from the foot to the hip. However, to achieve this, we must first understand what it means to stand and press correctly. In the Pilates method, and particularly when working barefoot on a cardio tramp, we teach 3 essential contact points: the base of the first metatarsal under the big toe, the base of the 5th metatarsal under the pinky toe, and the center of the heel. These 3 points form a triangle of support. They maintain the integrity of the foot's arch, balance the medial and lateral arches, and allow harmonious weight distribution. When these points are active, the foot is toned, the core connects, and the entire postural chain responds. That's why I always ask my students to look at their shoes. Specifically, where the sole is worn down, that's where the body is compensating. That's where the foot collapses. And that's exactly where we need to strengthen. Shoes don't lie. They show us where the arch flattens, where the knee deviates. It's an incredibly insightful observation tool. And I always tell instructors, you cannot correct a foot if you don't understand its muscles. You can't correct pronation or supination if you don't know what's happening under the arch, if you don't understand the function of the flexor digitorum brevis, the extensor digitorum brevis, or the plantar interossae. Knowing the muscles of the foot gives us the tools to guide placement, restore the arch, stabilize the ankle, and realign the entire lower limb. There are also various foot positions in footwork, each of which activates different muscle groups in the feet and legs. When the heels are on the footbar, we target the dorsiflexors, promote posterior foot stability, and engage the hamstrings. When the toes are in a high half-toe position, the calf muscles, toe flexors, and deep plantar muscles take over to support the arch. In the wrap toes position, we specifically activate the intrinsic muscles, like the flexor digitorum brevis and the interossae, which work together to stabilize the metatarsals and maintain the arch. Each foot position is an opportunity to recruit specific muscle groups, refine proprioception, and strengthen segmental awareness of the lower limb. Variety here is not aesthetic, it is functional. And all of that work rests on a living material, muscular tissue. A muscle is not just a motor, it's a complex organ, vascularized, innervated, adaptable. Skeletal muscle tissue is made of striated fibers that respond to different loads depending on contraction speed, fatigue resistance, and energy systems. There are primarily three types of muscle fibers in the human body. Type 1 fibers, known as slow twitch oxidative. They contract slowly but are highly resistant to fatigue. Rich in mitochondria, they use oxygen efficiently to produce sustained energy. These are your postural fibers, ideal for balance, endurance, and smooth, controlled movement, like slow footwork. Type 2 are fibers known as fast twitch oxidative glycolytic. These hybrid fibers contract faster than type 1, but still exhibit decent endurance. They are perfect for rhythmic, controlled sequences, such as dynamic yet stable footwork patterns. Type 2B fibers, or fast twitch glycolytic. These are the most powerful, the fastest to contract, but also the quickest to fatigue. They activate during explosive efforts, such as final pulses or jumps on the cardio trampoline, useful for reactivity, but only if the structure is aligned and prepared. In a well-sequenced footwork session, all three fiber types are recruited gradually, with control and with intention. Type 1 for stability, Type 2A for controlled strength, Type 2B for quick reaction. This makes footwork a functional, intelligent, and complete training tool, not just for the legs, but for motor coordination and neuromuscular intelligence. For example, the flexor digitorum brevis, which originates on the calcaneus and inserts onto the middle phalanges of the lateral four toes, flexes the toes moderately while helping to support the arch. It allows for strong, non-collapsing contact with the foot bar. It modulates pressure, stabilizes the midfoot, and fine-tunes the gesture. The extensor digitorum brevis, meanwhile, also originates from the calcaneus, but inserts on the proximal phalanges. It assists in light toe extension, balances toe flexion, and prevents overgripping or collapsing. These two muscles work in synergy to maintain alignment and functionality of the foot during movement. But none of this has meaning if it isn't built into a coherent structure. And that leads us to a key principle. The pelvis must remain in a neutral position. During footwork, the pelvis should be stable and in neutral, neither tucked, posterior tilt, nor arched, anterior tilt. Neutral is skeletal coherence. It allows the core to activate, the spine to decompress, and the diaphragm to breathe fully. The most common mistake is unintentional pelvic movement, shifting from neutral to imprint during the push or return. That one compensation disrupts everything. Deep muscles disengage, quads overfire, and the mechanics of the movement become distorted. Stabilizing the pelvis in a neutral position from beginning to end is a non-negotiable foundation. It's not aesthetic. It's essential for safety, precision, and motor learning. This is what footwork gives us, a sensory awakening of the foot, targeted strengthening of the lower limb, postural education, and refined reprogramming of motor patterns. The reformer becomes a tool for embodied awareness. It's not about doing reps. It's about sensing, understanding, correcting, and developing a more intelligent, aligned movement vocabulary. Thank you for listening to this episode of Biopilates Deep Dive, Season 2. Don't forget that Season 1 is still available, fully dedicated to mat Pilates. You'll find strong foundations there: breath, stability, precision, coordination. Feel free to explore, share, and integrate it into your practice. See you soon.